I not get no answer.
Please continue. The next word is white.
But you think you should look in on him, please?
Not once we've started the experiment.
But what if something's happened to the man, had an attack or something there?
The experiment requires that we continue. Go on, please.
Don't the man...
Oh, the learner, the victim, could have been dying in there.
But he might be dead in there.
What happened to him anyway?
He was part of an act and did not, in fact, receive the shocks.
And those screams of agony?
The screams of agony were tape recorded and coordinated to specific shocks on the shock levels on the generator.
Let me out of here, let me out.
God bless you, boy. You have me shaking in here.
Nice to see you.
Same
Feel
here.
better now?
I sure as heck do.
Are you able to make a profile of the kind of person who will tend to blindly obey or obey authority without ever questioning it?
I wish I could. We still really don't know the factors that allow one person to resist authority while another yields to him. I would say, however, that all people, if they're normal, will comply with authority in some degree. The respect for authority is a part of normal behavior. But I wouldn't say it's blind obedience. They do not see themselves as blindly obeying. They see themselves as furthering some worthy cause, the advancement of science in this case.
Well, that's another question. How can you compare? I mean, isn't there a fundamental difference between a man taking part in what he believes to be a very worthy experiment, advancing knowledge and teaching methods and everything else, with the mindless brutality of a Nazi concentration camp guard?
In almost every case of obedience, whether it is obedience in the laboratory in the interest of science, obedience in the military in the interest of patriotism, obedience in the Inquisition in the interest of the church, there's almost some ideology that justifies for the person who obeys the actions that he performs. He almost always sees his action as serving some noble end, so that the kind of obedience one sees here is indeed quite typical.
But our whole civilization is based on the obedience to authority. That's what law and order is.
That's true. On the one hand, you must have some kind of structure of authority for society to function. You cannot have civilized life without authority. On the other hand, there are cases when authority itself goes awry, when authority itself is malevolent.
When you say that, are you suggesting that that it could happen here?
I would say, on the basis of having observed 1,000 people in the experiment and having my own intuition shaped and informed by these experiments, that if a system of death camps were set up in the United States of the sort we had seen in Nazi Germany, one would be able to find sufficient personnel for those camps in any medium-sized American town.
If you doubt Dr. Milgram's conclusion, well, we have a statistic. Milgram polled 40 leading psychiatrists, asking them how many of the 1,000 people who took part in the experiment we've just seen would go all the way to the end of the board. They said perhaps 1 out of 1,000, a pathological fringe. The disturbing fact is 600 of the 1,000 administered full shock.